The courtroom smelled like old wood and cold air. The kind that made your hands shake, even if you tried to look calm. I sat right behind my lawyer, Harper, staring at the woman who gave birth to me, yet looked like a stranger now. My mother sat across the room in a neat blue dress, hair pinned tight, shoulders straight, like she was attending a celebration instead of a hearing meant to decide my future. She kept that proud half smile like she had already won. My brother sat beside her, chin high, tapping his shoe as if this was boring to him. If only I had known then what I know now, I thought. Maybe I wouldn't be here fighting for what my father wanted me to have. Maybe I would have walked sooner. Or maybe the revenge wouldn't have been so complete. The judge walked in, glasses low on his nose, voice deep. Court is now in session. This is the matter of inheritance distribution of the late Henry Mathers. My heart pounded hard. I held my folder close, the thing she never thought I'd find. The judge looked directly at me. Mr. Mathers, do you have any evidence to submit before we continue? I stood, my hand shaking. 8 months earlier, everything seemed normal, or close enough to pass. I lived in the house Dad left behind when he passed away. It was quiet, worn in all the right ways, and filled with memories. I believed Mom wanted the best for me. We weren't perfect, but she visited often, bringing food or flowers like she always did when Dad was alive. She smiled a lot back then, too sweet honestly, like frosting covering something bitter. One afternoon, she sat at the kitchen table, sipping tea as if she belonged there. You should sign these papers, she said, sliding a stack toward me. Just tax documents. Nothing big. I trusted her. I didn't even read them. I just signed. She watched me sign every page, eyes focused, like she was afraid I might stop halfway. At the time, I thought she was just being careful. Later that night, I found myself holding the papers again. Something felt odd. Page numbers didn't match. Page 4 jumped to page 7. My stomach tightened, but I pushed the thought away. Why would I doubt my own mother? I placed the papers back on the table, telling myself it was nothing, but that little voice wouldn't leave. Something wasn't right. The next weekend, my brother Mark came over. He walked around the house like he owned it. Hands in pockets, head tilted like he was inspecting something. Mark was always the golden child, the one Mom praised, the one she trusted with everything. Dad loved us both, but I always felt Mark shine brighter in her eyes. Nice place, he said, though his tone said the opposite. Mom says you're thinking of selling it. I frowned. No, I'm not. He shrugged like he didn't care. Well, she thought you might. You know she wants what's best for everyone. The way he said everyone felt heavy. Later, after he left, I checked the papers again. Why were some pages missing? Why was my signature on parts I didn't remember seeing? Something inside me twisted. But still, I trusted family. I told myself it was just legal stuff, nothing to worry about. Then an email from the bank arrived. Account withdrawal alert. A large sum was gone from Dad's old savings account. The one meant for me. The one only Mom and I had access to. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. Had she used my signature to move the money? I called her, trying to keep my voice steady. Hey Mom, did you take money from Dad's account? She didn't even sound surprised. I needed it. For house repairs. Don't worry, dear. I'll handle everything. Handle everything. Those words felt wrong. Days passed, and small things kept bothering me. Mum started acting strange. Always rushing me off the phone, cancelling visits, whispering with Mark when she thought I couldn't hear. The house felt different too. Like the walls knew something. IDN single quotes T. One afternoon, I found her in Dad's old study. She jumped when I entered. Papers scattered across the desk. She covered them quickly. What are you doing? I asked. She smiled too fast. Just organizing old things. But her eyes were cold. That night, I searched the office after she left. Drawers were half empty. Files missing. Then I found something. A bank letter addressed to me but never given. It mentioned an inheritance transfer request. My signature was at the bottom. Except I never signed it. My hands trembled. Why was my mother trying to take what Dad left for me? The thought felt insane. Unbelievable. But every sign pointed in one direction. Something much darker was going on. The truth came crashing down one evening during an argument in her living room. I had gone to confront her, gently at first, because she was still my mother. Why are you moving Dad's money without telling me? I asked. She didn't flinch. Didn't even pretend. She just stared at me like she had been waiting for the question. You don't deserve it, she said calmly. You were always weak. Your father wanted success. And you never lived up to it. Her words cut deep. I tried to speak, but nothing came out. Mark stood behind her, arms crossed, smirking like he had known this conversation would happen. That money is better in Mark's hands, she continued. He knows how to use it. You'd waste it. I felt heat rise through my chest, anger mixed with disbelief. I had always worked hard. Dad trusted me. We planned to run his business together someday. How could she erase all that? You can't just take everything, I said quietly. She smiled, chilling and confident. Watch me. As I walked out of the house, the night felt heavy. I stared at the sky, trying to breathe. For the first time, I realized this was war. I spent the next week searching for proof, something to fight with. I remembered Dad kept documents in an old safe in his workshop. He once told me that everything important lived inside it. Birth certificates, house deeds, and yes, the will. I went to the workshop and pulled back the dusty tarp. The safe sat under old tools, cold and stubborn. I entered the code Dad gave me long ago. His birthday. Wrong code. My stomach tightened. I tried again. Again. Wrong. Why would Mom change it? Just then, my phone rang. It was my Aunt May, Dad's sister. We weren't very close, but she sounded urgent. Can you come see me? She asked. There's something you need to know about your mother. Her voice shook slightly, like she was scared of her own words. I drove to her small house on the edge of town, rain hitting the windshield like tiny stones. Aunt May opened the door fast, pulled me inside, and locked it behind us. I should have told you earlier, she whispered. Your father left a will for you. A full inheritance. But your mother, she tried to destroy it. My breath caught. Destroy it? Why? Before I could ask more, Aunt May handed me a box. The box was old and smelled like the attic. Inside were photos, receipts, and letters. At the bottom lay something thin wrapped in cloth. I opened it with shaking hands. A burned piece of paper. I recognized Dad's writing immediately. It was a corner of a document, blackened at the edges like someone tried to burn it fast and hide the remains. Only part of a sentence was visible. To my son, I leave the house, the shares, and the rest was gone. I felt a mix of hope and pain. Aunt May sat across from me, hands folded. I saw your mother burn the will the night after your father died, she said. She thought everyone was asleep. I didn't know what to do. I was scared. She looked ashamed. Why didn't you stop her? I asked gently. She said she would cut me off from the family. I didn't want to cause trouble. I thought maybe she'd do the right thing. I didn't blame her. Fear can make people freeze. But now I had proof. Not enough to win, but enough to doubt. I drove home with the burned paper beside me, mind racing. If one piece survived, maybe more did. The next morning, I tore Dad's study apart. I searched every drawer, every folder, even inside the vents. Dust covered my face and hands, but I didn't care. Somewhere in this room, a clue waited. After hours of searching, I moved an old painting. Behind it, a narrow crack in the wall. Loose panel. My heart raced as I pried it open. Inside the gap was a small envelope, yellow from age. I opened it slowly. Inside were 2 photos of the will before it was burned. Pieces of sentences. Dad's signature. My name. Proof. It wasn't the original will, but it showed what it looked like, and that Dad wrote it. My hands shook as I slid the photos out. This could help rebuild his intent in court. I placed the envelope into my folder. A step forward. Later that evening, I received a letter, an eviction notice, giving me 30 days to vacate my own home. signed by my mother. As I stood on my porch holding that paper, rain began pouring, soaking the ink like tears falling on the truth. She wanted me gone, truly gone. Lightning flashed. If she was willing to evict me, what else would she do? I drove to my mother's house, paper in hand. She opened the door slowly, as if expecting me. "You did this?" I asked, voice trembling. She didn't even blink. "You need to move on. The house should go to Mark. He can build something with it." "You cannot." "Dad wanted me to have it," I whispered. She laughed, cold, amused. "Your father was soft. He spoiled you. I am correcting that mistake." Correcting. That word echoed like a hammer. Mark stepped into the hallway behind her, smirking. "Come on, man. Accept it. You'll be fine." Something inside me snapped. I turned and walked away without another word. Later, sitting in my car, I decided to fight back. I called Harper, a lawyer my coworker recommended months ago. We met at a small cafe, where I spread out the photos and burned paper. He frowned, studying them carefully. "This is something," he said. "Not enough to win yet, but enough to open a case." Hope flickered. "So what do we do?" I asked. He looked at me with sharp eyes. "Find the original will. Or proof of it. Then we make them pay." I felt a calm anger rise in me. I would not lose this. Harper suggested we start by investigating all property transfers made after my father's death. We went to the courthouse records office, dusty and dim. The clerk gave us a box of documents, transfer forms, bank requests, dates. Something strange stood out. A transfer filed 2 weeks after Dad died, signed by Mom using my authorization. A signature that looked like mine, but slightly off. The tail of the Y too long, the slant sharper. "Forge. Your mother likely used the papers you signed that day," Harper said. "She placed your signature pages into other documents. It's illegal." I felt sick. Betrayal tasted real now. We left the courthouse, and Harper told me we needed more evidence. Something undeniable. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. I thought about Dad's smile, his trust in me, the afternoons we spent fixing the truck, the way he always said I had a good heart. Mom told me I was weak. Dad told me I was kind. Who do you believe when both voices live in your head? A knock on the door pulled me from my thoughts. I opened it to see Aunt May again, holding an envelope with shaking hands. "I found something else," she whispered. "Something that could change everything." We sat at Harper's office table, papers spread out like a losing hand of cards. The room was small but neat, full of files and tired air. Harper rubbed his forehead. "I'll be honest," he said. "Cases like this are hard. The dead can't speak, and your mother holds most of the documents." My chest tightened. "So that's it? She wins because she got there first." He shook his head. "I didn't say that. I said it's hard. Not impossible." He picked up the burned piece of the will and the photos Aunt May had given me. He studied them for a long time, his eyes sharper now. "This signature," he murmured, pointing to Dad's name. "And this witness line. If we can find one of these witnesses, we can prove your father signed a different will than the one your mother presented." Hope stirred again. "So we track them down?" He nodded slowly. "Yes, but it will take time. And money. Are you ready for that?" I thought about the house. About Dad's face in my memory. About my mother's voice saying I didn't deserve anything. "Yes," I said. "I'm ready." Harper leaned back, still unsure. "For your sake," he said, "I hope your father left more than ashes." I prayed he had. The next week blurred into phone calls and waiting rooms. Harper's assistant helped search for the witnesses listed on the old will photos. One line stood out. Witness, Paul G. No last name, no address. Just an old number that no longer worked. Meanwhile, Harper pulled property records, bank files, and tax statements. All of them told the same story. After Dad died, my mother slowly moved everything. The house, the savings, the business shares. Piece by piece, like moving chess pieces while no one watched. "This transfer here," Harper said, tapping a date, "happened during the week of the funeral. Does that sound like something your father planned? I swallowed hard. No. Dad would have never done paperwork then. He could barely stand. Exactly, Harper said. So someone else did it for him. Or pretended to. Every new record felt like another knife. Not only had she taken what was mine, she had used Dad's death as cover. On Thursday, Harper called. I found something strange in the bank reports. You need to come in. When I arrived, he slid a report toward me. Look here. Your mother isn't just taking accounts. She's closing them and opening new ones. In her name only. I stared at the page. This wasn't confusion. It was a plan. We decided the next step was the bank. Harper went with me, his tie straight and his face calm, while my stomach churned. The main branch was bright and cold, smelling like printer ink and polished floors. A manager named Mr. Lewis met us in his small glass office. How can I help you? He asked. Polite but guarded. Harper did most of the talking. We're reviewing the estate of the late Henry Mothers. There seem to be some irregularities in account transfers. We need to confirm who authorized them. Mr. Lewis shifted in his chair. All actions were handled according to the documents provided. By whom? Harper pressed. He hesitated. Your mother, Mrs. Mathers, brought in signed forms. Everything was in order. My heart pounded. Did you see me sign anything? I asked. He looked at me for a long moment. Something flickered in his eyes. No, he said quietly. I never saw you in person. Harper leaned in. So you only had papers she brought? Yes. Mr. Lewis lowered his voice. I'm not supposed to say this, but a few signatures looked inconsistent. I raised a concern. I was told the family would sort it privately. Who told you that? Harper asked. Mr. Lewis glanced at the door, then back at us. Your mother, he whispered. The first small victory came a few days later. With Mr. Lewis's quiet statement written and signed, Harper filed a request to temporarily freeze further transfers from one of the key accounts. The court granted it. When Harper told me, I felt lighter for the first time in weeks. So she can't move that money now? I asked. Not without explaining herself, he said. It's not a full win, but it's a start. I wanted to celebrate, but the feeling didn't last long. That evening, a thick envelope arrived at my door. Inside were official court papers, a petition filed by my mother. She was asking for full legal control over all assets, claiming I was emotionally unstable and financially irresponsible. She was trying to paint me as unfit. My hands shook as I read the words she had signed. She said I was reckless, that I had no respect for my father's wishes. She described me like a stranger, lazy, angry, dangerous. She's trying to get ahead of us, Harper said when I brought in the papers. She knows we're building a case. So what now? I asked. He looked serious. Now we push harder. And we make sure when this reaches court, she's the one answering questions. I swallowed. The fight had just become public. 2 days later, my brother showed up at my door without warning. He didn't knock softly. He pounded like the house already belonged to him. When I opened, he walked right past me into the living room. What do you want? I asked. He turned, eyes full of fake pity. Mom told me what you're doing. Dragging her to court? Freezing accounts? You're really going to put her through that after everything she's done for you? I laughed bitterly. Everything she's done to me, you mean? He stepped closer. You always play the victim. Dad knew you'd waste what he built. That's why he told Mom to handle it. That's a lie, I snapped. Dad trusted me. He was teaching me the business. You barely even showed up. His jaw tightened. Believe what you want. At the end of the day, the judge will see you for what you are. Broke. Desperate. Weak. The words stung more than I wanted to admit. He headed for the door, then paused. Oh, and enjoy the house while you can. Once the court sides with Mom, you'll be out by next month. The door slammed behind him. For a moment, I felt small again. Then my phone buzzed, a message from Aunt May. I found something in your father's things. You need to see this. It can't wait. I drove to Aunt May's house with my heart in my throat. She met me on the porch, looking more nervous than I had ever seen her. Her hands shook as she led me inside and closed the door. On the coffee table sat a worn, brown envelope. "I was cleaning the old storage closet," she said. "I found a box your father asked me to hold years ago. I didn't open it until now. I'm sorry. I should have looked sooner." Inside the envelope were several photocopies. My breath caught as I spread them out. It was the will. Not complete, but more than before. This copy was older, but clearer. It named me directly. "To my son, I leave the family home, my remaining savings, and all my shares in Mather's construction." There, in black ink, was the proof I had been praying for. But there was a problem. The last page, the one with the full signatures and the official stamp, was missing. The copy ended right before the final line. "Where's the rest?" I asked. "That's all that was in the envelope," Aunt May whispered. Even so, this was huge. It proved my father meant for me to inherit. Harper would know what to do. Still, one thought gnawed at me. If this much survived, where was the final page? Harper's eyes lit up when he saw the new pages. "This is very strong," he said. "We can use this to show your father's intent. The court takes that seriously. But without the last page." I asked, "Can they say it doesn't count?" "They'll try," he said. "Your mother's lawyer will say it's incomplete, maybe even fake. But combined with the burned piece, the photos, and the bank manager's statement, it paints a clear picture." It was progress. Still, I wanted more than a picture. I wanted the full frame. Is there any chance the original last page survived? I asked. Harper leaned back, thinking. Your father seemed careful. He might have kept a backup. Where else did he store important things? I thought of the workshop, the safe that wouldn't open, the attic, the storage unit he rented on the edge of town. "The storage unit," I said aloud. "He paid for one. I still have the key." Harper nodded. "Then that's where we search next." That weekend, I drove to the storage facility. A dull row of metal doors. My unit was near the back. When I opened it, the smell of dust and oil hit me. Boxes were stacked high, labeled with Dad's sharp handwriting. Somewhere in this maze could be the missing page. I stepped inside and noticed one box already ripped open. My chest tightened as I moved closer to the torn box. Its lid lay on the ground, bent and crushed, like someone had ripped it off in a hurry. Inside, papers were scattered, some crumpled, some stepped on. I knelt down, hands shaking, and searched through them. Old contracts, receipts, photos of me and Dad at job sites. But no will page. At the bottom of the box, I saw a metal lockbox, its lid hanging crooked. The lock broken clean off. This must have been where Dad kept his most private things, and someone had gotten here before me. Rage rose in my chest. Only a few people knew about this unit. Dad, Mom, and me. I had never been here since he died. I dug deeper and found a scrap of paper stuck in a corner. Not the will page, but a billing notice from the storage company. Last month's date. Paid in cash. By my mother. I felt dizzy. She had come here, broken open the box, and taken whatever she wanted, including, most likely, the last page of the will. She was always one step ahead. I took photos of everything and sent them to Harper. His reply came fast. "We have enough to show intent and interference. But now we need her to admit it." "How do we make her admit it?" I asked Harper. We sat in his office again. Papers and photos laid out like a map of betrayal. He tapped a pen against the table, thinking. "Your mother believes she's untouchable," he said. "People like that get careless when they think they've already won." He looked at me. "What if we let her talk? Really talk? When she's angry, proud, sure of herself?" I frowned. "You mean push her?" He nodded. "Invite her to talk. Pretend you're giving up. Get her relaxed. Then ask the right questions. I'll provide you with a recorder that looks like a regular pen. It's legal as long as you're part of the conversation in this state." My stomach twisted. The idea of trapping my own mother felt wrong, but not as wrong as what she had done. "What if she doesn't say anything?" I asked. "Then we keep fighting with what we have," Harper said. "But if she slips?" One clear sentence could end this. That night, I stared at my phone for a long time. Then I typed, "Mum, can we talk?" I don't want to fight anymore. Maybe we can settle this between us. I hit send and waited. Her answer came quickly. Fine. Come by tomorrow. We'll talk. I arrived at house the next afternoon with the recording pen clipped to my shirt. My palms were sweaty, but I forced myself to breathe slowly. I needed her angry, not suspicious. She sat at the kitchen table with a cup of tea, looking calm and in control. So, she said, have you finally come to your senses? I sat across from her. Maybe, I said. This court stuff is a lot. I just wanted to understand. Why are you doing this? Why take everything? She rolled her eyes. You still don't get it. Your father was blind when it came to you. He thought you could handle responsibility. I knew better. I had to protect what he built. By stealing it? I asked softly. Her face tightened. It's not stealing if I fix his mistakes. You would have wasted the house, the money, everything. So yes, I burned the will. I changed the accounts. I did what had to be done. My heart hammered. The pen's tiny light blinked once, recording every word. Dad trusted me, I said, voice shaking now with real emotion. He wanted me to have a chance. She leaned forward, eyes cold. He was wrong. You don't deserve it. You never did. I made sure of that. The words hit like knives. But inside, one thought burned. Got you. Here are chapters 21 to 25. Each approximately 205 to 220 words, completing the story. Building to the courtroom payoff, emotional breakdown, and satisfying revenge ending, exactly as outlined. I left her house with shaky legs but a steady mind. Harper played the recording 3 times, each word clearer than a punch to the chest. She admitted burning the will, he said. She admitted forging documents. This is enough. We file immediately. Hearing her voice say, he was wrong. You don't deserve it, felt like a bruise that would never quite fade. But it also lit a fire. She hadn't just taken money. She had taken trust, history, love. We spent the next week preparing. Harper gathered bank statements, transfer logs, witness notes, the burned pages, photos, and now the audio. Every piece built a picture of greed. My mother and brother must have sensed something, because they suddenly stopped calling. No threats, no mocking texts, just silence. A dangerous silence. 2 days later, I was served final trial papers. The hearing would be in 3 weeks. Everything was official now. The night before court, I couldn't sleep. I sat in Dad's workshop, touching the tools he held, smelling sawdust still caught in the air. It hurt, remembering how proud he looked whenever I got something right. I won't let you down, I whispered. The room felt still. Like he heard me. Tomorrow everything would come out. The courthouse hallway was loud with footsteps and whispers. But inside me was only noise of my own heartbeat. Harper walked beside me, calm like he had done this 1,000,000 times. My hands kept gripping the folder, the evidence folder, like it was oxygen. When we entered the court, my mother sat at the front table, dressed like she came to win. Mark beside her, confident grin plastered on his face. Their lawyer chatted with them casually, like he expected an easy victory. They didn't know what we had. The judge began with formal questions. My mother's lawyer spoke first, painting me as irresponsible, unstable, careless. He used words like unfit and unprepared, each one heavy. It stung. Even if they were lies. Harper stood and asked questions that made their story wobble. Why were accounts moved right after Mr. Mather's death? Why was the son's signature used without witness? Where is the original will page? My mother sat straight, unbothered, too calm. She believed the court had no proof of wrongdoing. She thought her mask would hold. Then the judge looked at me. Mr. Mathers, do you have anything to present before we proceed to final arguments? The courtroom fell quiet. I rose to my feet. It was time. I stepped forward, voice steadier than I felt. Yes, Your Honor, I said. I do. I placed the folder on the table. Harper handed the judge copies of the burnt will edges and the clear photos Aunt May saved. He explained calmly how pieces matched, how dates aligned, how the handwriting was verified as my father's. My mother's face stayed cold. Unreadable. Then Harper pressed play. Her voice filled the courtroom. I burned the will. You never deserved it. I changed the accounts. I did what had to be done. Gasps spread across the room. My mother's eyes slowly widened, like she was finally seeing the trap she had walked into herself. Mark turned pale. Their lawyer froze, jaw tight. Mom started shaking her head. That was taken out of context. No, the judge said firmly. It was clear. It was intentional. He asked her one direct question. Did you alter or destroy your late husband's will? Silence. Then, in a broken voice, yes. Her shoulders dropped, and the room felt like it exhaled. The judge looked at me with steady eyes. Mr. Mathers, based on presented evidence, the inheritance shall be restored to you in full. My legs nearly gave out, but I didn't look at the judge. I looked at her. My mother broke, right there in the courtroom. Tears streamed down her face, not gentle or graceful, but heavy and loud. She covered her face like she could hide from what she'd done. Mark put an arm on her shoulder, but she shrugged him off, shaking. You never loved me, she cried, not to the court, not to the judge, but to me. Your father always loved you more. I gave my life to this family, and he chose you. You never listened. You were always soft. For a moment, anger fought with sadness inside me. I had wanted her to understand, to say she was wrong, to love me the way I had needed. But all she offered was blame. The court moved quickly after that. Paperwork stamped. Assets transferred back. Harper squeezed my shoulder. You did it. Outside the courtroom, I stood in the sunlight, the weight on my back finally gone. Aunt May hugged me tight. Your father would be proud. My mother walked past me, eyes red, unable to speak. For a second, I almost reached out. But then I remembered the nights she lied, the papers she forged, the way she said I didn't deserve anything. She chose her path. I chose mine. Life didn't change overnight, but it changed enough. I moved back into Dad's house without fear of losing it. Harper helped transfer the shares legally in my name. I hired workers to restore the workshop, keeping the old tools right where they belonged. It felt like breathing again. Some weeks later, I visited Aunt May with flowers, just to say thank you. We sat outside drinking lemonade, watching kids play across the street. I realized then that family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who stand with you when no one else does. One evening, I walked through the house alone, touching picture frames gently. Dad smiled back from every wall. I stood where he used to stand and whispered, "We made it." Not as a victory shout, but as a peaceful truth. If only I had trusted my doubts sooner. If only I had checked what I signed. If only I had known how deep betrayal could cut. But maybe all of it had to happen, because losing everything made me learn to fight. Being pushed out made me step up. Being told I didn't deserve it made me prove that I did. And when my mother walked out of court crying, I learned something I'll never forget. Sometimes the cruelest people in your story are the ones who raised you. But justice has a way of finding its voice. And this time, the voice was mine.